Hello everyone, I am Arun Raj. I'm an engineering consultant. I help in transforming business through digital transformation journey. First of all, thank you for watching this video. And this video is a part of getting started with Inventor. So in this video, we are going to see how to create a basic part. So before creating a basic part, in my past video, I mentioned about how to create a project. And once you create a project, you have everything defined, your workspace defined, and your dedicated folders also defined. So if you want to save it in the same folder, you can have it, or if you want to have a hierarchical folder structure, you can create number of folders too. So let's start by creating a new part. So when I hit the new button, so you get a pop-up window which gives you access to the list of templates, so which you can choose from. And let's say I'm choosing a standard metric template. You have a variety of templates over here for parts, assembly, drawing, etc. So let's get started with a basic part. So once I hit create, the new window opens for the part environment, and all you can see is like your complete set of tools which will help you to create a part design. And if you see on the left panel where I have the whole tree structure, so where I can see all the list of planes which help me to create the basic sketch for my part design. So let me just save this part for a moment. So whatever I want to like name the part as, I can name it. And you can see once I create or save the part, it's going to save in the extension .ipt. So let's get started by doing a basic sketch. Let's say I want to start off with the XZ plane. So let me just pick up that plane. So now it enters in the sketch mode. Now I have options to create the whole model. So let me start off with a basic rectangle over here. So once I put a rectangle, so you can see the dimensions, whatever needed is popping up. And when I hit tab, I can switch from the length and width of this rectangle, and I can enter the value which I intend to enter. So let's start by creating a basic rectangle, and let me add dimensions to it. So let be 130 as it is. So I'm just adding the dimension as 60. So uh, what you can see is like earlier it was in a different color. Now once I give enough dimensions to this particular sketch, it gets fully constrained. And not only that, I'm going to edit this dimension as well. So just by double clicking it, it allows me to edit the dimension. So now I'm keeping two different dimensions, the length and the width, like this. So let me hit finish sketch. So now I have a basic profile ready. So let's start by making it as 3D by hitting extrude. So once I hit extrude, another window pops up, and it allows me to give in the thickness, or the thickness of the body. So what is the thickness I want to add? So let's say I want to add 10 mm as the thickness of the body. And if I want to provide some parameters to it, so I can add it as well. So let's say thickness is equal to 10, which becomes easy for me to reuse the parameter from time to time. And once I hit OK, so you can see my first extrusion has come in, and you can see it has come up with certain thickness as well. And now if I want to add much more to it, to this profile, so let's say I'll start creating a new sketch again, and I want to create something or towards this height over this face. So I'm just like picking up the face of this object, and I'll start creating another rectangle. So now I want to make sure that this is in alignment with the past sketch. So what I can do is I can bring project geometry and enabling it as the construction. It helps me to get the highlights or the profile of this particular phase. Now this aids me in working with the geometry in a better manner. So let's start by doing a sketch again. So, so what happens is this overall length, whatever you see here, it gets constrained automatically because it is tied up with the base. And let me also add one more over here by adding coincident constraint with this particular line to the projected geometry over here. So what happens is this is going to be constrained towards this particular in geometry point. Or I can also provide a linear constraint to match with the line as well. So once I do that, my overall length over here gets adjusted. Now all I need to do is like pick up the height. So what I'm doing is I'm just giving it 70 and finish. So once I have it in place, now I want to like hit extrude. So there are two ways. One is I can extrude in this direction or the opposite direction as well. And what you can see is like when I do it towards the solid geometry, it is actually creating a cut. But I want to like merge these two things together. So you have options to join both the things together. So we have Boolean operations over here. So initially it will be in cut, but if you want to like add it as a joint base along with the previous extrusion or previous solid base which you have created, we can do that. And regarding the thickness, I want to maintain the same thickness of 10 mm, but I want to utilize the parameter. So whenever I change the parameter, so or thickness of that parameter, I want to change that as well. So if I just hit the list parameters, so all I can see that I have thickness as a parameter. I'll just hit thickness and say OK. So now I have a solid body with two things. So you have a base, you have the side, which is pretty much ready. And where can I go and find the parameter which I have defined? So you have the FX parameter at the top, or even under manage, you have the FX parameter. When you hit that, so you can see all the list of parameters and you can see the thickness as well. And the best part is like, let's say if I modify the thickness as 15, so you can see the changes right away over here. So let me get back to the same thickness. Say hit OK. So let's add few more geometries to this particular model. I want to add some support, just like a support plate where I want to weld something together. So if I want, I'm just going to add a few support over here. So let's say instead of creating it as a complete closed profile sketch, we have a couple of advanced tools which will help me to add support in this kind of ways. So let's start with this phase by creating a sketch here, and I'm going to project this geometry, making it as construction so it doesn't add as a solid line, and reverting back into a solid line. So I'm just adding a line here. And if you can see, how do I constrain it? So I want to like constrain it based on the distance between these 2 points. So I'm just like adding a dimension over here, and okay, and I'm adding a dimension over here as well. And I just want to make sure that both the dimensions are same. So before entering dimensions, I'm just like going to select it and pick the past dimension which I have created and say okay. So what happens is these both dimensions remain equal. And again, in this case, I don't want this to be some random dimension. I want to add my existing parameter thickness as a dimension. Now we can see that both the things are 10 mm each. So I have this particular sketch pretty much ready, and I want to add a support over here. So there is a feature called rib, and you can just hit the rib button, select the line, and based on this, it's going to create a complete solid over here. So let's say I want to add the thickness as 10 I'm making. So in this particular case, right? And I want to like make sure the whole body is going to get extended towards it, right? So let's see, let's pick up some planes over here. So one is, so if it is in the different plane opposite direction, it cannot support, but it has to be towards this particular plane. So I'm switching this plane and switching this plane over here. So you have a symmetric action, you have a direction, the reverse direction as well. So you can just add those, and I'm adding thickness here. So let's say I want 5 mm right now, or if I want to add the thickness to it, or a specific parameter to it, I can just add it as well. So say okay. So you have the complete rib, or I would say a support rib, which is pretty much ready. Now I want to create one more support on this direction as well. So let's kickstart with by uh, creating a rib over here. So I'm just projecting these two geometries, hit OK, and I'm adding a line to it. And yeah, since I have enabled construction, let me revoke it as a standard line. Let's add few dimensions to that. And once it's done, I'm going to list my parameters so that it's equivalent to thickness. Say OK and finish. Now I have this completely constrained. Now I'm going to add a rib over here, and let's check so which profile it actually matches. So now I'm getting this plane profile, and you can see that this complete rib is ready. So once it's done, let's say I want to add few more profiles to it. Let's say I want to like create a quick cut at this particular plane. So let's get started by creating a sketch. So now you can see the standard sketch point, and I'm adding a rectangular profile over here. Okay, and I'm adding some dimensions to it, and I want to make sure that this and this are equal. So the equal constraint applies to all the sides now. And not only that, if I want to, since it's at the center of this, so you can see that it's completely constrained, but I don't want it to be in the center. I want somewhere else. I mean, like I want it to be in certain offset distance, and I want to constrain it with respect to this particular line. Then I can just create a construction line over here, do the same dimensioning, just like we did earlier. So I'm making things equal, and I'm adding dimensions to this too. So this is going to be like at the distance of 25, and this is going to be somewhere in the middle, and I want to make sure that this and this are constrained together. So once it's done, you can see it's completely constrained. And now if I do an extrude right now, instead of doing this, like adding a profile, I want to remove material, so I'll just like hit cut. Automatically it goes back to the plane. So what is the distance, whether you want to like do give a distance or until my next phase, so or through all, so you hit through all, so it completely creates a hole throughout the profile. Let's say okay. Now you got that. So similarly, I want to like create one more cut over here, and this time it's going to be somewhat in a different profile. So let's say this is 35, and this dimension to be 15. Yes, I've got these two dimensions, Now, uh, uh, this one is going to be in a certain distance from this particular edge. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to project this geometry over here, and at the same time it is going to be at a certain height from this base. So I'm just like projecting these two geometries and trying to constrain based on that. So this is going to be somewhere around 45, and this is not from the center, but this from this point to this line, it's going to be somewhere around 25. No, let's make it 20. Sketch and extrude. We will uh, uh, reverse the direction. So automatically it is taking it as a cut. I want to make sure that it's through on all the sides throughout the thickness. So now we have got this complete 3D model. And let's say if I want to add a material, so you can do the same by getting into this material menu, and I'm just adding mild steel. So automatically your mild steel material is applied, and it's taking up the material look as well. So this gives you a better look too. And once I apply material, what happens is it also assigns a couple of properties to the material. So when I right click into my part, go into my properties, and if I go into the physical status and hit update, so all I can see is like the material is applied, and what is the weight of this particular or mass of this particular part. So I can see that in real time. We'll discuss about all these additional functions in detail, maybe in the upcoming videos. And that is one thing which I always love to have, because I want to make sure all the information what I'm getting, and whenever there's an update, I want to keep things posted over here. So I used to add some a general note at this top. So where I want to bring in certain material properties here. So let's say what material I have applied, and at the same time, what is the uh, uh, properties like mass, and sometimes I want to add the volume as well, and at the same time I want to add one more property like the part number, right? Say apply. So what all you can see is like at any moment of time, I can see this information being updated over there, right? And let's say if I change the thickness to let's say instead of 10 mm, I'm just adding it as 12 mm and say OK. So now you see that the material properties has changed. So all I need to do is just go hit update the material property. So I get the new weight and new volume.